We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
110 crosswind. 110 crosswind.
Hey everyone, Mike here. Welcome back to Navy Network. Today, we're taking you inside a world almost no one ever sees. What life is really like for the man who commands a U.S. aircraft carrier. It's not the luxury people imagine. It's isolation, pressure, and non-stop responsibility aboard a floating city of steel. A U.S. supercarrier is more than a ship. It's a 100,000-ton fortress powered by nuclear energy, carrying 75 aircraft and 5,000 sailors. Every hour, hundreds of operations unfold with military precision. And at the center of it all is one person, the captain. He's not just a senior officer, he's the heartbeat of the entire ship. Every decision, from the course plotted through open ocean to the timing of a single aircraft launch, flows through him. He commands a multi-billion-dollar weapon that can project American power anywhere on Earth. But behind the rank and ceremony lies a life most people couldn't endure for a week. If you've ever wondered how a Navy captain actually lives at sea, drop a comment below and let us know which part of carrier life you want to see next. Because what you're about to hear might surprise you. The captain's two homes. Most people assume the captain has a massive suite somewhere high in the tower, maybe even a private balcony overlooking the ocean. The truth is completely different. He has two small cabins, and both tell you everything about what command really means. The first is called the sea cabin. It's hidden right behind the navigation bridge inside the island, that gray structure rising from the flight deck. The door opens to a space no bigger than a small bedroom ashore. A narrow bunk bolted to the wall, a tiny desk, a metal sink, and a bathroom barely large enough to turn around in. No windows, no decoration, no personal clutter. Just cold steel and the constant vibration of engines deep below. Why so minimal? Because this isn't a home. It's a command post. From here, the captain can reach the bridge in under 10 seconds. If an alarm sounds at 3 a.m., he's there before anyone else. When you're steering one of the largest moving objects on the planet, seconds matter more than comfort. Every sound outside that bulkhead means something. A shift in the turbines. The thunder of catapults launching jets. A pipe announcement echoing through the passageways. He sleeps light, if he sleeps at all, always half listening to the pulse of the ship. Then there's the inport cabin, used when the carrier is tied up at the pier. This one feels different. A small sitting area with a couch and coffee table, a separate bedroom, a real desk covered in charts and paperwork. It's where the captain hosts visiting admirals, foreign dignitaries, and senior officers from other ships. The walls carry plaques, photos, and sometimes artifacts connected to the ship's namesake. A reminder that every carrier represents a piece of American history. But here's the part few expect. Even when the ship is docked, the captain rarely stays there overnight. He still chooses the cramped sea cabin. Because command isn't about privilege, it's about readiness. If something happens, he wants to be 10 seconds from the bridge, not a minute. So yes, the captain technically has the best rooms aboard, but he also carries the heaviest burden. For him, comfort is secondary to control. That's the first lesson of command, and the reason the man at the top sleeps closer to the engines than anyone else on the ship. A day in the captain's life. There's no such thing as a normal day for the captain of a U.S. aircraft carrier. Every hour, something is happening somewhere on the ship. Engines roaring below deck, jets taking off overhead. thousands of sailors moving through steel corridors, all of it under his command. The captain's day usually begins before dawn. While most of the crew still sleeps, he's already reading overnight reports, maintenance updates, weather forecasts, intelligence summaries about potential threats. Every detail matters because a single mistake in planning can ripple through the entire strike group. As the first light breaks over the horizon, he walks into the wardroom, the officers' dining area. A mug of black coffee, maybe a quick breakfast, and quiet nods to other officers who know that even now, his mind is already running through the day ahead. Then come the department head meetings. Representatives from every division, air operations, engineering, weapons, logistics, medical, gather around the table. Each one brings critical updates: fuel levels, aircraft readiness, supply issues, crew health. It's like managing a city that floats, flies, and fights at the same time. And the captain needs to know everything, because at sea, the smallest oversight can turn into a disaster. After the meetings, he heads to the bridge. It's the ship's brain, lined with radar displays, navigation monitors, and the hum of constant communication. The officer of the deck gives status reports. The helmsman steers under his direction. From here, the captain oversees the carrier's every movement, its position, speed, and coordination with the destroyers and cruisers escorting it. He doesn't physically steer the ship, but every decision about where it goes and how fast it moves is his call. If the carrier needs to change course to avoid a storm, or adjust its formation during a mission, he makes the final judgment. Then comes the most dangerous part of the day: flight operations. On deck, the noise is deafening. Jet engines, catapults firing, arresting cables slamming down. The captain watches from one level below the flight deck, where every launch and recovery is tracked in real time. It's controlled chaos. Hundreds of people working in perfect sync, while multi-million-dollar aircraft are thrown into the sky at 150 miles per hour. The air boss is technically in charge of the flight deck, but the responsibility always leads back to the captain. If something goes wrong, a crash, a malfunction, an injury, it's his command, his accountability. That's the rule of the Navy. Success is shared, but failure always flows upward. Between operations, he handles the mountain of administration that comes with command. Emails, evaluations, promotion recommendations, video conferences with fleet headquarters or the Pentagon, requests for supplies, performance reviews. There's no quiet moment, only short breaks between the next decision. He eats when he can, often at his desk or with his senior officers. Food isn't a ritual here, it's fuel. And even when he finally returns to his sea cabin late at night, work doesn't stop. Reports keep coming in. Engines need adjusting. Weather systems shift. The captain reads, signs, and prepares for the next day. On paper, he gets 6 hours of sleep. In reality, it's closer to 4 or 5, broken by phone calls, alarms, and the endless vibration of the ship beneath him. Because even when the lights dim and the crew rests, the carrier never sleeps. And neither does its captain. Compensation and benefits. Commanding a U.S. aircraft carrier is one of the most demanding jobs on the planet. But what does that kind of responsibility actually pay? It's a question a lot of people wonder about. Because when you hear that a single officer commands 5,000 sailors, 75 aircraft, and a ship worth more than $13 billion, you might imagine a paycheck that matches that power. But the truth is different. It's good money, sure, but not what you'd expect for a man carrying that kind of weight. A U.S. Navy captain, ranked 06, earns a base pay that starts around $8,000 per month. That's about $97,000 a year. But carrier captains aren't beginners. By the time someone takes command of a supercarrier, they've usually spent 25 to 30 years in uniform, flying combat missions, serving at sea, and climbing the ranks. At that level, the base pay rises to around $14,000 a month, roughly $170,000 a year. Then come the allowances. Every officer receives what's called BAH, Basic Allowance for Housing. If the captain has dependents, it's about $3,000 per month. Without dependents, closer to $2,500. There's also a subsistence allowance, a small stipend meant to cover food costs. And if the ship operates in a combat zone, the captain receives hazard pay, an extra $250 per month. Add it all together, and an experienced carrier captain typically earns between $130,000 and $200,000 a year. It's a solid income, especially when you add the lifetime benefits that come with it. But when you compare that to a civilian CEO managing 5,000 employees and billions in assets, it's a fraction of what corporate leadership pays. The difference is simple. A captain's reward isn't found in a bank account. The benefits, though, are significant. Full medical and dental coverage for the captain and family. 30 days of paid leave every year. Access to commissaries and exchanges. Military stores offering tax-free goods at discounted prices. Retirement after 20 years of service, with a pension based on the highest base pay earned. And for those who stay 30 years, that pension continues for life, a guaranteed income that honors decades of service. But the real payoff can't be measured in dollars. For most captains, it's the honor of command, the trust placed in them to lead America's most powerful warships. It's the moment they stand on the bridge, look out across an endless ocean, and know the entire crew is counting on them. That's not a job. That's a calling. Still, the work never stops. The pressure doesn't fade because of the paycheck or the benefits. If anything, it grows heavier with each passing year. Because in the Navy, accountability flows upward, and the captain's shoulders are where it ends. He's the first to arrive, the last to rest, and the one whose name appears on every report, good or bad. There's no bonus for a perfect deployment, no raise for preventing disaster. Just the quiet pride of bringing 5,000 people home safely. And that, more than any paycheck, is what defines the life of a U.S. aircraft carrier captain. Not wealth, not luxury, but service. Steady, relentless, and uncompromising. Technology and environment. To understand how a carrier captain lives, you have to understand what he's living on. Because his home isn't just a ship, it's one of the most advanced machines ever built by human hands. Modern aircraft carriers like the Gerald R. Ford class are floating cities of steel and power. Each one costs over $13 billion to build and stretches more than 1,000 feet from bow to stern. That's longer than 3 football fields end to end. When fully loaded, it displaces 100,000 tons, and yet it can move through the ocean faster than most speedboats. The secret lies deep within its hull. 2 A-1B nuclear reactors power the entire vessel, generating enough energy to run for decades without refueling. Those reactors don't just move the ship. They power every radar, every light, every launch system on board. In total, A carrier like this produces more electricity than many small cities on land. The Ford class is the Navy's technological leap forward. Its electromagnetic aircraft launch system, or EMALS, replaces old steam-powered catapults. It uses magnetic energy to launch aircraft more smoothly, with less stress on the jets and more control over power output. Recoveries are handled by advanced arresting gear, a system of cables and hydraulic motors that can safely stop everything from an FA-18 Super Hornet to a lightweight drone. Together, they make flight operations safer, faster, and more efficient, the result of decades of engineering evolution. Automation has also changed the way the ship runs. Compared to the older Nimitz-class carriers, the Ford class operates with several hundred fewer crew members. That might not sound like much, but on a ship where every bunk, every meal, and every gallon of water matters, it's a massive improvement. But for the captain, technology is only part of the story. What defines life on a carrier is the environment. Inside, the ship feels like a labyrinth. Narrow passageways connect compartments stacked 11 levels high. You climb steep ladders between decks, duck through heavy watertight hatches, and feel the constant vibration of machinery all around you. Every corridor looks the same: gray bulkheads, yellow safety markings, pipes running overhead. It's easy to get lost if you don't know the layout by heart. The sounds never stop. Engines hum below deck. Metal doors slam shut. Announcements echo through the intercom. Orders, drills, flight operations, emergencies. Even when the ship is calm, it feels alive, breathing through the rhythm of its machines. The temperature shifts depending on where you stand. Near the reactor compartments, it's sweltering. Close to the outer hull, the air turns cold, damp with the smell of salt. And through it all, the scent of jet fuel and oil hangs in the air, a reminder that this is no cruise ship. During storms, even 100,000 tons of steel can feel fragile. The entire ship groans as waves crash against the bow. The deck tilts. Loose gear slides. And yet, operations continue. For the crew, it's routine. For the captain, it's another test of control. Life aboard a carrier isn't just about enduring noise, motion, and heat. It's about mental endurance. Because with 5,000 people packed into a steel maze, privacy doesn't exist. And for the captain, isolation is absolute. He's surrounded by sailors every minute of the day, but he can never fully be one of them. The higher you rise in command, the lonelier it gets. Still, for many, that's the trade they accept. The ocean outside might be endless, but inside the ship, the captain's world is defined by duty, a never-ending loop of responsibility, vigilance, and quiet resolve. Path to command, challenges, and legacy. Becoming the captain of a U.S. aircraft carrier isn't just a promotion. It's the result of decades of service, sacrifice, and survival. Only 11 people in the entire U.S. Navy hold that position at any given time. 11 officers who have proven they can handle the pressure of commanding the most powerful warships ever built. The journey starts the same way for all of them, as naval aviators. They spend years in flight school, learning to launch and land jets on a moving deck at night, in rain, in high winds, with no room for error. It's one of the hardest things in aviation, and it's the foundation for leadership at sea. After flight school comes command experience. Future carrier captains usually lead smaller ships first, destroyers, cruisers, before becoming executive officers, second in command on larger vessels. They attend war colleges, earn advanced degrees, and serve on staff assignments that teach them how the Navy operates at the highest levels. Every deployment, every decision, every mistake builds toward one thing: the day they're trusted with a floating city of their own. By the time they reach that point, they've spent 25 to 30 years in uniform. They've flown combat missions. They've written letters to families of sailors they've lost. They've learned to lead under fire, to command respect without demanding it, and to take responsibility when everything falls apart. But even with all that experience, the pressure never lets up. Because when you command a carrier, everything, from the engines below deck to the pilots above, is your responsibility. If a sailor makes a mistake, it's your fault. If a plane crashes, it's your name on the report. If the ship runs aground, your career ends that day. The Navy doesn't share accountability. It concentrates it in one person. That constant awareness never leaves a captain's mind. Even in the rare moments of rest, he's thinking, what if? What if a jet misses the wire? What if an enemy sub gets too close? What if there's a fire below deck? There's no off switch, no weekend, no peace. The job isolates you. You can't be friends with the crew. You have to lead them. You can't show doubt. You have to inspire confidence. And you can't let the stress show, even when you're barely sleeping. The captain stands alone, respected, but separate. And that's the part no one prepares you for. The sacrifices go beyond the ship. Family life often suffers. Months at sea mean missed birthdays, missed anniversaries, missed years of life ashore. Some captains say homecomings are the hardest part, stepping off the ship into a world that moved on without them. But they accept it. Because when they're out there, standing on the bridge as the sun rises over an open ocean, it's clear why they do it. Command isn't a job. It's a calling, a chance to serve, to lead, and to leave a mark that lasts long after you step off the deck for the final time. Every captain leaves behind a legacy. Sailors remember them, the calm voices in chaos, the steady hands during crisis. Stories spread through the fleet about the captains who stood watch for 48 hours straight during a storm, who visited every injured crew member after an accident, who stayed with the ship until the last sailor disembarked. These stories outlive their commands. They become part of the ship's history. When it's time for the change of command, the moment is quiet but heavy. The new captain salutes and says, "I relieve you, sir." The old captain replies, "I stand relieved." And just like that, the weight of command transfers, invisible but immense. For the one leaving, it's emotional. For the one stepping in, it's the beginning of a life few will ever understand. That's the reality of command on a U.S. aircraft carrier. 2 cabins, endless duty. 5,000 lives depending on one person's judgment. It's a life of pressure, pride, and purpose. And despite every challenge, every sacrifice, most captains wouldn't trade it for anything. Because when you've commanded a ship like this, when you've led that many people across an unforgiving ocean, you don't just carry a rank, you carry a legacy. If this video gave you a new perspective on what it means to lead at sea, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this, and drop a comment below on what part of Navy life you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching. This is Navy Network, and we'll see you in the next one.